In this incredibly short and effective video, we're going to talk about how to use sequences to improve workflow and give you better editing opportunities. So first off, I've got an interview here with Mr. Steve DeLay, board member, former Woodstock teacher, well-regarded community member. So we have this, and I've got some stuff going on there. And I've got his lower thirds in there. Now, I should point out that to get the lower thirds for Mr. Robustelli on this one, I simply copied the lower thirds from delay and added it to this sequence and then changed the content. So that enabled me to be a little bit lazy or efficient or quick or whatever you want to call it. I like efficient, but I call it lazy because it's funner. But anyways, this works in there now and it fades out. And I've separated the editing into two sequences because in case my edit on this whole project gets to be lengthy, I want to be able to edit each piece individually as I add stuff to it and not have to have all the other parts of this for the edit in the same sequence. So imagine if all this content and all this were in the same place. It wouldn't be that difficult, but the more content that you add to a piece in a single sequence, the more complex it gets, the more difficult it becomes to move pieces around and do all your editing. So the two pieces I have left to add to this are the intro and the outro by a news anchor. So I've got these two sequences built. I should talk about organization first, though. So in this particular case, I made a few folders for all this stuff, and I've got a folder for my anchors, for my anchor intro and outro. I've got a folder for the interviews. This is all the raw footage of the interviews, but there's also the edit sequence of Mr. Robustelli. So I'm going to put that in the sequences folder. So these folders are called bins in Premiere, and they allow us to store and organize our content better. Because the easier it is to find your content, the much more better it is. So each of these folders has lots of stuff in it, and if those were all not in folders, it would be kind of a mess. So I want to make sure I've got my sequences all in one place, so I can find them easier and work on how that's going to get assembled. So now that my material is organized and secure and safe and named properly and all located effectively, the next thing I want to do is make the sequences for my anchors. So I'm going to click on this, and to make a new sequence, there's a few things you can do. I think I've talked about this in the past. You can click on this new and choose sequence. And the danger with this method, the reason I don't like to do this, is because I'm hoping to guess the right sequence settings. And there's all these different things. Digital SLR, I'm not even sure what they all are. And I'm looking for 1920 by 1080. I'm looking for the right frame rate. I'm looking for 30. And that just becomes ineffective because if I've already got footage that matches what I want to do, I should use that. So I'm going to right click on this footage here, and I'm going to choose, where is it? Somewhere here. Should be a thing that lets me, new sequence from clip. There we go. New sequence from clip. So now it puts that sequence in the same place. Before I move it to its proper location in the sequences folder, I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to call this intro. And I'm going to take that and move it to the sequences folder. So here's my intro. And I've got my reporter up here. And again, I'm going to talk about how to be efficient or lazy. And I'm going to go get the lower thirds here. Make sure I've got it selected. I'm going to copy it, Control C, go to intro and Control V. And there we go. So all I have to do now is change the text to show the reporter's name. It's going to move into the picture, and it looks pretty good. So we're happy there. So let's say this intro goes to about here, and we're good. So he's just introducing the segment or the piece. I've got about 15 minutes of intro, and let's just for the sake of argument, let's duplicate that. And here's my sequences. Here's intro. I'm going to duplicate this one. So I think there's a duplicate command in here. So right-click and duplicate. So now I've got intro copied too. That's actually my outro, so I'm going to change the name of this to outro. So now I've got my intro and my outro. It's not a bad idea to number these, actually, so that they are in the correct order. So I'll say intro is 01 intro, and outro, or delay intro, interview, I'm going to have this be 02. And the Robustelli one, I'll rename this to be 03. So what this is going to do is when it's ordered based on those names, let's take outro and make that rename properly. So I'm going to call this 05 or 10. You know, sometimes I'll pick a big number for the last piece, so I know it's going to be the last one that lists. So if I now list these, according to that content. Let's see, if I do it like this by name, it then puts them in order by that digit, or it should, as we can see. So I got these sort of ordered by that name. So what I want to be able to do next is make another sequence. So to do so, the purpose of this last sequence will be to assemble all the work I've done in the other sequences into one place. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my intro sequence and choose new sequence from clip. So it's treating that sequence like simply another clip. So I'm going to take this sequence and rename it 20 master. So the master sequence is going to contain all the other pieces. So I changed the name of it, and now I can just drag these other sequences in. So I've got the intro. I'm going to have an interview with, like I'm missing something. Here we go. Take number 2 and drop it in there. And something happened there. Okay. I always got to watch what's happening because it may, if you click on the wrong thing, it does different things. So I'm going to put the third one in place. And it looks a lot like what I did earlier, but the colors are different. The blue is a clip, and the green is a sequence. So now I've got 2 interviews. I've got an outro. I clicked on it wrong again. Let's see. It's back to master. And now I've got the outro. So sometimes when I was doing that, it acted like I wanted to open it, so I double-clicked on it somehow. Make sure you drag it into the right place, and then check it when you're done. And it rolls through, has all the stuff in it, and now you're ready for your export. That's how you work with sequences to your best advantage in Premiere for filmmaking, for news pieces, for whatever. It's going to always make your job better, more efficient, and more effective.